Hi Year 3, it's Miss Dixon here. So today we're going to have a look at a Year 3 reading skill. Can you begin to understand that narrative books are structured in different ways? For example, quest stories and stories with dilemmas. So if you have listened to the YouTube video of the teachers reading our mentor text, or you may have bought your own copy of the book, hopefully you would have seen or heard this little introduction to the book. Now you might want to pause it so you can have a read of it yourself. But basically, the author talks about how the story is quite special because actually you could pick it up and open it up at any page and start reading the book. Now, that's not usually what happens, is it? When you read a story, usually we start at the beginning and we finish at the end. So it's quite interesting to have a think about the structure of this book and what category it would slide into. So what is narrative structure? So here's a little definition I found off the internet, and it talks about how structure is basically the story and the plot. What happens in the book? The events that move the story on. It says, the importance of narrative structure is in its name. If the story didn't have a structure, then it would be a formless blot without a clear beginning, middle, and end. This is paramount to holding a reader's attention throughout a story. Do you agree with that? I feel like I would have, but then I've read our new mentor text. I'm not sure I do. So you should be able to see some key questions that I have put up. You might want to have a go at answering them. You could write down your responses, or you might just talk to somebody about them. It probably would be useful to have watched some of the other teachers' videos previously. I know Miss Copeland's done one, a story map. Mrs. Kent's done one about the themes in the book. Miss Allen's done one about planning a post, right, which she talks about the themes and the structure of this book. Shall we have a think if we can figure out the structure of this book? Where does it fit? So, the general structure of a narrative looks something like this. And when we teach you, quite often we're saying this is how you should structure your stories. Set the scene, introduce the problem, we then reach that climax, which hopefully is then resolved to form our ending. Now, most stories, or a lot of stories, you probably can think, yep, it fits that structure. What do you think about The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse? We kind of set the scene. There are some problems in there, but I wonder if there is a climax. Is there a pivotal point in the book when you think, well, this is it, this is where all the action is? I'm not sure. What do you think? And then is there a resolution? There's an interesting part in the book where it says the end and then it's crossed out, which kind of signifies to me that the story is not over. They haven't come to a resolution yet. What about this one then? So we've got a fantasy story. So you can have a read of some of those features of what you might find in a fantasy story. Now, some of those features tick our boxes. We've got talking animals. We have some kind of mini problems and solutions. Good and bad characters, I'm not sure that's completely relevant. I wonder if you can think of any fantasy stories. I know lots of you read Harry Potter books. I would say that's a fantasy story. We've definitely got magic in there. Definitely got good and bad characters, and you can see that clear difference. Now, the interesting thing about Harry Potter is it's half set in an imaginary setting, and half the time it's not. So you can see how J.K. Rowling's almost twisted those features a little. But I would say our book, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse, it's just set in the wild, isn't it? That's completely normal, completely ordinary. Our creatures are real creatures. There isn't any magic in there. Let's have a look at these. A fairy tale. Does it start with that once upon a time? Have we got talking animals? Do we have that happy ending? Is it a detective or mystery story? A crime's been committed. We need to find the answer. I don't think so. Is it a myth and legend? Does it explain why things are? Is there a hero in there? Are they talking about an ancient mythical character? It does refer to the horse being able to fly. I wonder. Is it a sci-fi, a science fiction set in the future? Time machines, aliens maybe? I don't think so. We've not hit the nail on the head yet. What about an adventure story? So do the characters go somewhere exciting or dangerous? Now this picture here, it does look quite complicated. But if you kind of just look at little bits apart, it kind of makes a bit more sense. So that adventure story is where they're kind of starting out quite normal life, and then something calls them, they're invited or they're encouraged to go on this adventure. And it's all about how the character grows and transforms into something different, something better maybe. And then they resolve the problem and they kind of go back to that normal life at the start. I'm not sure our story fits that either. So, does it matter that there's no clear structure in this book? What is it that makes it special? Do you remember earlier we were thinking about, or how it said that there had to be a beginning, middle and end to engage the reader? But we clearly haven't got that here. But why do we want to keep on reading? What is it that hooks the reader in? How does the reader maintain attention and stay engaged? I wonder if you could have a go at writing your answers to those questions. And then it would be really interesting to see if you could explore some of the books in your own house. Can you figure out what structure they follow? Do they all follow a similar structure? Or, like The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse, is it quite difficult to pinpoint one structure that fits that book? Do you have a favourite type of structure? A favourite type of narrative? Why is that? I know some of you definitely do, because there are lots of you that read lots of the same books. But remember, it is always good to explore different ones. And hopefully, maybe you could choose your next book that has a different structure to what you're usually used to. So hopefully that has given you something to think about. And yeah, I'd be interested to see what different books you're reading, what's your favourite narrative structure. And hopefully you've realised that actually there are many, many different structures and they don't always follow a clear pattern. Right, goodbye for now, Year 3.